All right, so in the Netflix docuseries Untold, which is set to be released on October 8th, former Heisman Trophy winner Johnny Manziel speaks about thoughts of self-deletion after being cut from the Cleveland Browns in 2016. Um, Manziel admits that he purchased a gun,
Mm-hmm.
which malfunctioned when he attempted to use it, and then also went on a
Million.
$5 million bender, which caused him to lose 40 pounds in a span of 9 months. Six,
Bruh.
what's your thoughts on this whole situation? That's been will be uncovered in the Untold docuseries, but this particular situation that has been released by the press previously, prior to the docuseries coming out.
So I will be watching the docuseries. It comes out on Monday. I will be watching it. It comes out on August the
Tuesday,
7th. August the 7th, right?
August 8th.
Is it the 8th?
It's the
It
8th.
is okay. Okay, yeah. You're right. So I will be watching it on Tuesday, and just to kind of see what his thought process was, and kind of get his story and hear his story, because as we talked about when we were talking about Carly Russell, mental health is a real thing. People do go through things, and he had this superstar that came to him at Texas A&M real quickly, and he had made comments in the docuseries that said he didn't really know how to handle it. And that happens to a lot of athletes. Like, if you get to a point where you're very, very popular and you're talked about all over the world and talked about all over the country, and you're getting all this notoriety and you get all these looks, and you're starting to see your dream of being a professional football player unfold, sometimes that can be very, very hard to take in, especially for a young guy at 19, 20 years old. You can see your dream unfolding right in front of your eyes, because he was a superior football player, a superior quarterback at Texas A&M. He was amazing and electrifying to watch. But when he didn't pan out the way he was projected to with the Cleveland Browns, and he was starting to get that backlash from being such a great quarterback at Texas A&M and dominating the SEC, the top conference in the country, everybody thinks the top conference in the country, and he dominated every Saturday, week in and week out. And he gets to the NFL and he fizzles as much as he did. That can be hard to deal with, especially whenever you are so popular. You up here at one point, and then all of a sudden you down here at the lowest point of your life. And it can be something that can be hard to take in and hard to juggle those emotions that you're having, especially doing something that you love to do, which is play ball. Um, I love to watch docuseries like this, because I be wanting to see what the thought process is, because it has to be a very, very low point to think about taking your own life. It has to be a very, very low point, because if you're losing 40 pounds in the span of a few months, bro, you're going from 215 to 175 going into camp. Like, you got to understand that you probably not going to be looked at in the same way, especially if you're a quarterback that's supposed to be leading the team. They're going to let you go. You know what I'm saying? Even in my situation, I was an undrafted free agent. And I ruptured a hamstring, and they were like, you know what? Deuces. Didn't get that chance again. And he was a first round draft pick, and it happened to him too. So it's like, and I can understand that's hard to deal with, because it was hard for me to deal with. And I wasn't even drafted. I was just like, damn, my dream is over. I made it, but my dream is over now. Like, well, what am I going to do? And now I'm like lost. You know what I'm saying? So I can understand where Johnny Manziel is coming from, and mental health is a real thing, man. And I'm glad that he's still here to tell his story. And I know his family is, and whenever things like this come up, man, you got to take them into consideration. But hopefully he's good now, man. What you think about this whole situation, D'Lo?
I mean, I've seen this story personally multiple times, not to this magnitude of the person wanting to,
Self delete.
self delete themselves, but
Mm-hmm.
I've seen friends of mine, players of that I don't know personally, but I've played against, go through these events where they enter severe depression, or they just lose touch with themselves because they no longer have the ability to play something that they've devoted and invested most more time into and years of their life into. So when they get to this point of no longer having the ability to be a part of that, like I mentioned, they lose themselves, they lose their identity, they no longer have confidence in who they are as an individual, and they go through cycles of multiple emotions. I mean, I've been through this twice myself, but not, again, nowhere near this magnitude. The first time was when I realized that I was not going to be playing that much at Wake, and then the second time I realized that all my friends that I played with or that I was competing against, they were in the process of trying out for teams, or they were in camp, and I'm sitting here struggling to find a job in the height of the recession. So I went through that as well. So I mean, I understand the emotions. And like you mentioned, he's seen the highest of the high in college, and so he had a chance to enjoy the life that many college athletes have enjoyed times 1,000. And then he gets to the NFL and he's just not, he doesn't pan out and doesn't do what he doesn't pan out to be who everybody wanted him to be. So definitely understand what he's going through. And I too will be watching this just to get the understanding of what he was thinking as he crossed to the other side of being an athlete and no longer being an athlete, just to kind of see what the thought process was like, and what were the other emotions that he went through that got him to that point of wanting to self-delete, and then also going on those benders, and then at what point in time was it that he was like, all right, I can make it through this, and I can be maybe not Johnny Football, but I can be Johnny Manziel and benefit off of the name that I created for myself while I was at Texas A&M.
Nah, facts, man. Because I mean, he did have a little bit of substance abuse, and he has been diagnosed bipolar as well. So those two things could have been, those were heavily weighted within his decisions to do those things, but also it had a lot to do with his performance on the field as well. Because if you're doing if you're mixing Oxycontin with booger sugar, then you gonna have some issues. You know what I'm saying? And that's gonna probably spark some kind of that's gonna spark that bipolar disorder, because you're doing things, you're putting things in your body that shouldn't be in your body. And those I mean, I'm not laughing. It's just kind of crazy, because this guy was a megastar. And you go from, like I said, top of the top to the lowest of the low, to the point where you're thinking about self-deletion. And it's like that mental health right there. And this is real mental health. This ain't got nothing to do with what we talked about with Carly Russell. That was just dumb. He's diagnosed. That's mental illness. That ain't just mental health. That's mental illness. That's a diagnosis. Carly Russell just did something stupid. This man really has a problem. He really has an issue, a diagnosed issue. And to mix that with the highest of success and not being able to deal with it, to being at the lowest of the low with this illness and depression, on top of substance abuse, on top of going on benders, on top of all of these things, he has a problem. And I can see why he had those thoughts of self-deletion. So I'm ready to see it on Tuesday, man. That's going to be one that I've been thinking about watching so many shows, man. But this is going to be one that I'm actually going to tune into and actually watch, and kind of see the life story of Johnny Manziel and see what he went through. And like D'Lo said, man, if he can just get to a point where he can live off that Johnny Manziel name that he built for himself, he's going to be amazing moving forward. So I'm rooting for him, man, and hopefully everything gets better for him for sure.
Yeah.
Thank you for watching this video. If you made it this far, there's a video on the screen right here. Go ahead and click on that. I think you're going to love it. Also, you can find us on all your streaming platforms, wherever you find your podcasts.